Hi everyone. I'm so happy to see so many of you because I actually had a dream last night that there were only 3 people, two participants and my mom. So I'm really happy to see you here. Just a quick reminder that you can ask some questions here in Slido. So I will be talking about this very interesting pidgin called the Basque Icelandic pidgin. Just out of curiosity, how many of you knew about this language before the conference? Okay, no pressure. So I will be telling you about the history and the structure of the pidgin, but I won't go into that many details because we don't have that much time, and because there are some sources that say different things in different languages. So I'll just give you the basics, and we'll also see some words and learn some vocabulary in case you want to surprise someone with your skills. Okay, so first I will tell you a little about myself, like why is someone from Finland interested in this pidgin. So, the font is not compatible with, oh well. So I'm Finnish originally, but I lived in Iceland for 6 years. I went there as an au pair, and then I stayed for the university. I have a bachelor's degree in Icelandic and a master's in translation from Icelandic. And then during my first year in Iceland, I was an au pair in this little village called Eyrarbakki. It has 400 people and a prison. So then I got to know this guy from the nearby farm who was from the Basque country, from Vitoria. And I oh my God. And he showed me a DVD about the Basque country in Basque. And that was the first time I heard Basque. I knew that there was a language called Basque, but I had never heard what it sounds like. And as soon as I heard, I was like, okay, I have to learn this. I have no idea what it is, but I have to learn it. And that was in 2007, the beginning of 2007, and it actually took me 10 years before I could start learning Basque. Now I'm living in Barcelona, and I started learning Basque in October 2017 in a language school. So it was worth the wait, I'll say. I really like it. And the first time I heard about the Basque Icelandic pidgin was in the university when I had to study Icelandic history, and the professor just mentioned it, and I was like, wait, Basque and Icelandic? Like, okay, I have to learn more about this. But yeah, here's me being very passionate about Basque with my first ikurriña, the flag, and you cannot really see, but here's proof that I was actually in Iceland. I guess many of you know what a pidgin is, but I'm just gonna tell you quickly in case you don't know or if you have forgotten. So it's a simplified language between 2 or more groups that don't have a language in common. And it's a very simplified language. So it has very basic vocabulary and grammar, and the vocabulary is usually, well, at least in the history, it was for trade, to use for trading. And yeah, the grammar is simple. It has no, the verbs don't have tenses, and if they do, you use a separate word. And it doesn't have tones or conjugation or declension. So just as simple as it can be. And it's not a native language. So it's just used for simple everyday things. And well, as far as we know, it's not anyone's native language. Maybe they had some things going on back then, but nobody speaks it today. So it's not a Creole because it doesn't have native speakers, at least now. And it was, so I'm so sorry to tell you, but it actually doesn't have any Icelandic. Wah, wah, wah. But it's called the Basque Icelandic pidgin because it was written down in Iceland and it was translated into Icelandic and it was used in Iceland. And it has many words from Basque, but also from Germanic and Romance languages. I'll show you later some examples. And there are only a few manuscripts that have been found, and there's also knowledge of more manuscripts, but they have not been preserved. And hopefully one day we'll find some more, but unfortunately right now we have to make do with just a few. And it was spoken in Northern Iceland 400 years ago. I'll have a map later, show you exactly where. And some people think that it was developed in Iceland during the trade between the Basque whalers and Icelandic locals. But because it has so many words from other languages, some people think that it was developed before the Basque people actually went to Iceland. And so the Basque whalers, before going to Iceland, they had actually been in other places. So it's probable that they had it more or less ready when they went to Iceland. And I don't know if you can see very well, but I really like this picture of the hottest objects in the universe. There's iron, the sun, quasar, and the Basque Icelandic pidgin, which is like super hot. So, because it's mostly based on Basque, I'm gonna tell you a little about Basque. Are there any people who speak Basque? Se pena. So, in Basque it's called Euskara, and it's spoken here in the Basque country, which is partly in Spain and partly in France. And it's a language isolate, so it doesn't have any known relatives. People still keep trying to put it into some language family. Actually, most people in my whenever I tell someone that I'm learning Basque, people are like, "Oh, because it's related to Finnish." I'm like, "Well, I wish," but no. And it's spoken in the Basque country, and also there are some. I know that it can be studied as a major in the United States because there are descendants of the Basque people, and also some language enthusiasts can speak it too outside the Basque country. And there are less than 1 million native speakers, more or less, but there are more people who understand it and speak it as a second language. And the grammar is quite interesting because it's not like most European languages, which has the nominative and accusative, but it has ergative and absolutive. And I have an example. So when the phrase has an intransitive verb, it looks like it could be a normal sentence with a nominative. Ni emen bisi nais, so I live here, but it's literally like I here live am. But then, when it's transitive, so you would have an object. It looks like this: Nik chakur batut. I have a dog. I dog one have, and here the I is not. You see, it's not the same as here. So here the dog is the absolute case, and I is an ergative. And then also I didn't write it here. But in plural, this would be, if I had two dogs, this would be Nik bi chakur ditut. So the verb changes based on how many there are. So it's an interesting challenge, but I like it. So that was just to show how different Basque is. And so the Basque whalers, they started quite early. So the first document about them is from the year 670. It was a bale about 10,000 liters of whale oil being delivered. And then when they found out that they could go further, they went to the North America, they went to Canada, and then they went up to Iceland and Svalbard and Norway. So here, this is my wonderful paint skills, but they went from here to Iceland and to Vestfirðir, so this region here in Iceland. And here you can see old coins or medals that actually, they have nothing to do with Iceland, but they still show that the whaling was a big thing back then in the 13th century. And well, of course, when there are two different cultures, there's usually some drama. So there was this little massacre in 1615 called the Slaying of the Spaniards. In Icelandic Spánverjavíkin, and in Basque Espainiarren Sarraskia. So there were a few ships. I think it was the end of September. The Basque whalers, they were about to go home, but then there was this storm, and they couldn't get back because the ships, I think they crashed against the rocks or something, so they had to stay. And then one of the Basque, there was a small group of Basques, they went and they stole some fish, dried fish. And then the Icelanders went and killed them. And then they killed some more later, so they ended up killing 32 of the Basque whalers. And after that, they decided that if any Basque people go to Vestfirðir, they can be killed. And that was actually in the law until 2015. So there weren't any murders, but I think now Basque people can go there and not be that afraid. So yeah, it was quite.
There was a delegation of Basque coming in that year.
Sorry?
There was a delegation. There was
yes, there was a big ceremony
but
when.
They had to guarantee that the law was already on.
Yes. So now, if you know any Basque people, now you can tell them that they can go. It's a very nice place. So.
Actually, can I say something? They had the exact same law for Turks in Iceland.
Yes. Yes.
Not just for the Basque people.
No,
There were Turkish pirates that were going to Iceland.
Yes.
And it was legal to kill any Turk on the spot until maybe not 2015, but 2004.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly, but it was still a law that did not penalize killing any
Turkish, yeah,
pirates.
yeah, yeah, and that's true, and that's kind of funny because the Turkish people, which actually I don't think they were Turkish. People just thought they were Turkish because it's called Tyrkjaránið, and they took some Icelanders and for slaves, and that's why there was a law for the very peaceful people.
They were mercenary soldiers that were pirates in the Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco area.
Yeah.
That were employed by the Ottomans.
Yeah.
As a mercenary.
Yeah. But so yeah, very peaceful people. But yeah, it's true. But now everyone should go there without having to fear for their lives. I'll give you a quick explanation about the manuscripts that are known today. I'm going to explain 4 of them. One is called Vocabula Gallica, which means the French words, and that was written in the latter part of the 17th century. And as you can see, it's quite difficult to read, and also because sometimes when the Icelandic people ask, like, okay, how do you say this and this? And there were some misunderstandings as well. I will show you later. But it has 16 pages, some words and sentences and numerals. And then there's Vocabula Biscaica, Biscayan words. And that was written by this Icelandic scholar called Jón Ólafsson of Grunavik. And that has also words and sentences and numerals. And that's a bit more clear. And it's interesting to see the differences between the same words because they were written a bit differently, and that might also be because of the dialect of the Basque people or how the person who wrote them down heard it. But there are some minor differences between these two.
So vocabulary of Vizcaya means Basque words.
Yes.
So there are Basque words.
Yeah. In the pidgin.
There are no Icelandic.
Yeah. And then Kautlegar Closure, which means funny glosses, was written. It was there's this letter that has been conserved that was written by Sveinbjörn Egilsson, a linguist, and he wrote 2 pages about this glossary that he found, and he mentions 11 words. And today we have the letter, but we don't have the glossary, which is a shame. And there were 8 pages of the words, so it's sad. But this can be now found in a bigger manuscript. But yeah, just 2 pages about the words, funny words. And then this is the manuscript that was found most recently in 2008. It's called A Few Latin Clauses, and it's actually just a copy, a very badly done copy, because there are many errors, and that's because the person who was copying it didn't know that it was Basque. He thought it was Latin. So that's why it's called A Few Latin Clauses, and it can be seen that the person wasn't really used to writing, and there are many errors, so only 68 words and phrases can be discerned. And around these words, there were like instructions about magic and casting love spells, so we don't really know why it was in there, but there were still some words that can be used. And it's also, you cannot really see, but it's quite confusing because everything is just like written one word after the other. And I'm comparing, even though it doesn't have any Icelandic, I still have Icelandic there for comparison. So, as I said, the pidgin is a very simplified language. And the structure of the pidgin is subject, verb, object. Well, I have it here in Basque, subject, object, verb, even though they don't have the same subject, object structure, but it's for making it a bit easier, so you can see that it differs from Basque. Like for example, here you can see the subject for me, presenta, the verb, and then for you, and the object. Whereas the same phrase in Basque would have the verb here in the end. And in Icelandic it's here where it's in the pidgin as well. And then the word order with adjective and noun, it's different from modern Basque, because in Basque, like in Spanish, Italian, some other languages, you would have the noun, adjective, sorry. Like here you have milk and warm.
What does it say over there? Give me milk and butter?
Here?
My boss is non-existent.
Yeah. Give me warm milk and new butter.
Yeah, all right.
Very useful. So here you can see milk, warm in modern Basque, but in the pidgin is warm milk, like it's in Icelandic as well. And then the verbs are not conjugated. So here you can see Christ Maria presenta, Christ and Mary give, I give you, for me presenta for you, so it's the same. Whereas in Basque it's different, ematen barirate, emango dizut. and in Icelandic as well, gefi and skal gefa. So it's very simplified, and that way it's also easier to learn. Okay, so in case you ever need to know some words, here are some useful ones also to show you how they have been taken from other languages. Like here are some words from the Basque origin, and these ones in parentheses are the words in modern Basque. So you can see that there are some words that haven't changed, like berria, new, and bai and es, yes and no. And then here you can see some words of the Germanic origin. For me is I and me. For you is for you. And Kabinit comes from German, like. And then of Romance origin, so you have mala, like mal, and vi, oui, from French. And these are even more useful words in case you want to impress someone. So I have put them. They're here in the pidgin, in modern Basque, and then the Icelandic translation of from the glosses, and modern Icelandic and the translation. So here also you can see, for example, estakit is still estakit in Basque, and it means I don't know. But then you have something like ungetorre, which ongetorri means you're welcome in Basque. But here it's saitl in Icelandic, which means hello. And this is an example of misunderstanding, because maybe the Icelandic person was like, hey, what do you say when you meet someone? So the Basque person was like, oh, okay, welcome. And then they misunderstood each other. And some words are still the same, like musu, al kissa is to kiss. And maybe the Icelandic person didn't quite know how to write, so you have skargasko, which nowadays is eskerikasko. So maybe the Icelandic person just didn't know how to write eskerikasko. So that's why it's spelled that way. And you can see also I'll go back a bit. Like here, you can see also the words, the meaning of words. They're not like scientific or anything. They're very basic, like, well, cider. Man, what, how many, daughter, yes. Yeah, well, mostly for trading. And like there are many different kinds of fish and like clothing and different kinds of ships. And also, I don't know why they have to tickle. But it could be useful. Or also go away from me. I don't know if it's related to the tickle.
Can you pronounce it?
Which one?
Go away from me.
I think it's more or less like it's now in modern Basque, soas camporat. So I'm gonna have to try it someday to see if it works in the pidgin.
Exactly.
And here are some useful phrases that are actually in the glosses. So I haven't made these up. So parakit, so it is. For you malagissuna, you're a bad man. Ser travala for you, what do you do? For me presenta for you biscusa eta sakarduna. I will give you cake and sour drink. Sei calzardia esta vira. 6 pairs of socks, not more. And the one that we saw earlier, presenta for mi berrua usnia eta berriabura. Give me warm milk and new butter. Could be useful. And then my favorite is this one. Christ Maria presenta for mi valia, for me presenta for you bustana. If Christ and Mary give me a whale, I will give you the tail. And here you can see also the art of seduction, and you see the beautiful sentence here. And, and this is actually taken from this page on Facebook that has these memes about the Basque Icelandic pidgin, and they're really funny. Sadly, when I share them on Facebook, nobody really understands them, but I think this is hilarious. So, yeah, but these can also be found if you Google Basque Icelandic pidgin. You can find these easily, and also the funny pictures. And here's here are some numbers, which can also be useful to learn. And here you can also see the difference between the two first manuscripts, because there are some spelling differences, and I don't know if it's because of the dialect or if it's because of the Icelandic person who wrote them down. But you can see that they're still more or less the same. So bat, bia, iru, la, well, lau, it's lau today. And in some dialects, 5, bost, is still borts. And sei, saspi, sortsi, pederatsi, amar. So they're more or less the same. And here's just to show the Icelandic numbers, to see that there's nothing from them in the pidgin. So, what can you do now? If you want to continue with the Basque Icelandic adventure, you can follow the page on Facebook. It's not mine. I don't actually know whose it is, but the person gave me permission to use the pictures, and I will have to send them the link later. So, and yeah, like here you can see Netflix, Twitter, Reddit, not that good, but then Glossario Duo Vasco Icelandica. And then you can go and have a beer called Malagisona Bad Man. It's actually a pub called Malagisona in the Basque Country. And if you're really fascinated about this language, memorize. There's a course in Memorize for Basque Icelandic pidgin. And then, if you want to be cool in the group of friends you have, or just like be a bit mysterious, you can also use the teen texting codes. So if you, for example, if you put BFMA, Bocata Formiatora, it means wash a shirt for me. That can be very useful if you want to ask someone, or if you want to give someone the tail, you can also use the abbreviation here. Or you're a bad man. JMG. So it can be useful. I tried this with my friends and they were not happy. They're not, yeah. They were like, what is it? What is this? Like, we don't even want to know. I'm like, well, I'll give you the tail. And this is also from the Facebook page. And Skargasko. Okay, there are some questions. Are there any Basque loanwords in modern Icelandic due to this language contact situation? That's a good question. I haven't, not right now I cannot think of any, but I will have to check actually. There are actually so many Icelandic people who don't know about this pidgin, so maybe there are, but I haven't noticed. How many people on Iceland could speak the language? Well, 400 years ago, there were not that many Icelanders. And maybe only the people who were trading with the whalers could speak it. So I don't know if all the locals could speak it. So we're not talking about that many people. Because also when when the whalers came, there were like maybe 100 at a time that came. So not that many people. How many words are known now in the language? If you combine all the manuscripts, I would say, I don't know, less than 500. Who's giving me the tail? Our pidgin language is worse than others because they're simpler. No, it also depends on the what they're used for. So they're not. I wouldn't say they are worse. And then when they get like native speakers, when people actually start speaking it as the first language, it becomes a Creole. And there are many Creoles this day, like for example, Tok Pidgin in Papua New Guinea. So they have potential, all of them. Can one learn about the trading history from the language? I would say yes. I've never thought about it that way, but based on the words they have, I would say so. Do you ever mix up Basque Icelandic and Basque Icelandic pidgin? I would have to say that actually the pidgin helped me once in a Basque exam because I remember Yes, but no, I haven't mixed them yet. Basque and Icelandic, yes, but the pidgin is still waiting for its turn.
I think that's it. Only this one why did it take so long? But
Well, yeah. Someone asked why did it take me so long to start learning Basque? Because I couldn't learn it in Iceland, and then when I moved to Barcelona, I had a job, and all the classes were while I was working. So when I started freelancing, I was like, the first thing I did was like, sign up. So that's why it took me so long, but it was worth the wait. Does your Basque teacher know about the pidgin? Yes, because I asked him and he didn't know about it. So, but he knew about it, but he didn't know what it was about, or so I couldn't really rely on him. But he was very interested, so I might have to teach him. Okay.
that's it. Just this.
If Thor keeps you well, can I have the tail? No. Okay. Okay. Thank you.